My name is Taylor Ellis, and for 32 years, I've been the conditional child in a family that revolved around my mother's ego. She was the dazzling star of our small Atlanta suburb, charismatic, glamorous, the woman everyone admired. I was her shadow, a non-binary artist whose quiet successes she either claimed or sabotaged. When I started building my own life, she competed harder, undermining my career and relationships. But when I uncovered her secret, a scheme to control my best friend's daughter, Mia, and her inheritance, I fought back, refusing to let her win. This is the story of how I broke free from her competition, saved Mia, and built a family that loves me for who I am. Vanessa's stage. I grew up in a charming craftsman bungalow in Decatur, Georgia, where azaleas bloomed in technicolor and the air was thick with southern charm. My mother, Vanessa, was the queen of our suburban enclave, a former beauty queen turned event planner whose smile could light up a room or cut you down without a word. She was 36 when I was born, still radiant, and she made sure everyone knew it. My father, Richard, was her quiet accomplice, a quiet accountant who fixed finances but never our broken home. Vanessa was the star, and I, Taylor, was her reluctant understudy. As a kid, I was different. Genderqueer before I had the words for it, with messy hair, paint-stained clothes, and a love for creating art from found objects. I'd known since I was 10 that I didn't fit the mold Vanessa wanted, a mini version of her, all dresses and charm. When I came out at 15, she laughed it off, saying, "You'll grow out of it, Taylor. Don't make things complicated." My father just shrugged, eyes on his ledger. "Why can't you be more like me?" Vanessa would say when I shied away from her pageants or parties. She didn't want a child. She wanted a mirror. The competition was subtle but relentless. When I won a school art contest at 12, Vanessa entered a local design competition and made sure her win got front-page coverage in the Decatur Dispatch. When I got a solo in the choir, she joined a community theater troupe and landed the lead role. She'd smile at my achievements, then outshine them, claiming, "I'm just showing you how it's done." My father stayed silent, his absence as heavy as her presence. Vanessa's friends would coo, "You're so lucky to have such a talented mom." But I felt like I was drowning in her shadow. High school was my sanctuary. I joined the art club, sculpting pieces from scrap metal and driftwood, pouring my pain into creations that spoke louder than I could. I won a state art award and earned a scholarship to the Savannah College of Art and Design, SCAD. When I told Vanessa, hoping for a moment of pride, she said, "That's cute, Taylor, but I'm planning the mayor's gala. That's the real spotlight." My father nodded vaguely. I left for college with a suitcase full of art supplies and a vow to carve out my own space. Painting my own canvas, SCAD was my liberation. I was Taylor, not Vanessa's child, not her rival. I majored in mixed media art, interned at a community art center, and found a community that embraced my genderqueer identity. I started therapy to unpack the anxiety and complex PTSD from my childhood, panic attacks triggered by certain smells, nightmares of unseen threats. My therapist, Dr. Carter, helped me name the trauma: narcissistic parenting, maternal competition, emotional manipulation. I graduated with honors and landed a job as an art therapist in Atlanta, helping kids process trauma through creativity. My studio apartment in Midtown was a vibrant mess of canvases and clay, a space where I could finally breathe. Vanessa, meanwhile, kept competing from afar. She'd called to catch up, but her questions were probes. How many clients did I have? How big were my exhibits? When I had my first solo gallery show at 27, she hosted a rival event the same night, inviting my contacts to her grand opening. Most went to hers, and she smiled when I confronted her, saying, "It's just business, Taylor." My father sent a text. "Don't upset your mother." It hurt, but I'd built a life where her approval wasn't the goal. The rivalry escalated when I was 31, during a family barbecue at our Decatur home. Vanessa was there, dazzling in a sundress, charming the neighbors. My best friend Lena's daughter Mia was there too. Lena, the only person who'd ever seen through Vanessa's facade, had died 3 years earlier in a car accident. Her ex-husband, Greg, had custody of Mia, but he was unreliable, often dodging my texts. I'd tried to stay in Mia's life, sending art kits and visiting when I could, but Greg made it hard. At the barbecue, Vanessa was her usual charismatic self, leading lawn games and posing for photos. But Mia was quiet, her brown eyes fixed on the ground, her hands clutching a sketchbook I'd given her. I noticed a bruise on her wrist, faint but unmistakable. When I asked her about it, she whispered, "I fell." Vanessa quickly changed the subject, pulling Mia into a group photo, but my therapist instincts screamed that something was wrong. The competition's cost. Later that day, I took Mia to the backyard, where fireflies danced and the air smelled of honeysuckle and charcoal. "Mia," I said, sitting beside her, "is everything okay with Greg?" She hesitated, then whispered, "He's always mad. Vanessa visits sometimes, says she's helping, but she just ignores me or takes my stuff, like Mom's necklace." My heart stopped. Lena's sapphire necklace, an heirloom meant for Mia, was gone. I'd seen Vanessa wearing a similar one earlier, glinting against her sundress. That night I couldn't sleep, my mind racing with Mia's words and Vanessa's necklace. I'd noticed other signs. Vanessa's new Porsche, her boasts about investments. Was she stealing from Mia's inheritance? The next morning, I confronted her in her office, a chic room of velvet and gold accents that smelled of lavender and ambition. My father was there, reading community newsletter, his presence a silent buffer. "Why are you staying with Greg?" I demanded, holding up a photo of Mia's bruise. Vanessa's smile faltered, her eyes narrowing. "I'm just helping out," she said, her voice tight. "Don't start drama, Taylor," my father muttered, not looking up. But I pressed, my voice rising. "What about Lena's necklace? Mia said it's gone and I saw you wearing it." Vanessa's face hardened. "You're imagining things," she snapped. "I'm managing Mia's trust, that's all." My father sighed. "Let it go, Taylor." But I didn't. "Managing her trust?" I said, my heart pounding. "Greg's a mess, Mia's bruised, and you're driving a Porsche. What's really going on?" Vanessa's composure cracked, and she let slip the truth. Greg was an addict, and she'd been supervising Mia, funded by my parents. She'd also taken control of Mia's trust, a hefty inheritance Lena had left, claiming it needed proper oversight. The necklace, she admitted, was borrowed as a keepsake. I stared at her, my hands trembling. Vanessa had competed with me my whole life, my art, my career, my identity. But now she was using Mia to win, stealing her future to fuel her ego. The rivalry I'd endured wasn't just personal, it was predatory. I refused to let her destroy Mia the way she'd tried to eclipse me. I drove to Greg's apartment that afternoon, a rundown complex in East Atlanta. The place reeked of stale beer, with pizza boxes piled in corners and dishes rotting in the sink. Vanessa was there, scrolling through her phone while Mia sat alone, drawing in her sketchbook. "What are you doing here, Taylor?" Vanessa asked, her voice sharp. "Come to play hero?" "I'm here for Mia," I said, my voice steady despite the rage inside. "This isn't okay, Vanessa. She's not safe here." She laughed, a cold, familiar sound. "You think you're better than me? You're not her parent." But I saw the fear in Mia's eyes, the way she clutched her sketchbook like a shield. She wasn't safe, and I wasn't going to let Vanessa's competition destroy her. Taking a stand. That night, I called Child Protective Services, CPS, reporting suspected neglect. The caseworker, Jamal, interviewed Mia and confirmed my fears. Greg's addiction had worsened and Vanessa was barely present, often leaving Mia alone or snapping at her to behave. CPS placed Mia in temporary foster care, and I filed for emergency custody. As an art therapist, I'd helped kids heal from trauma, but this was personal. I knew the system's flaws, overworked caseworkers, biased courts, but I couldn't let Mia stay in that environment. I also hired a lawyer to investigate Mia's trust. Vanessa was furious, calling me to scream, "You're trying to ruin my life. I'm her guardian, not you." Her words triggered a panic attack, the PTSD flaring, but Dr. Carter helped me stay grounded. She'd competed with me my whole life, but now she was stealing from a child. I refused to let her win. I threw myself into the custody battle, using my therapeutic skills to build a case. I documented everything: photos of Greg's apartment, texts from Vanessa dismissing Mia's pleas, medical reports noting her bruises. I was fighting for Mia, but also for the kid I'd been, the one Vanessa had overshadowed. My parents took Vanessa's side as always. They called me selfish, accused me of jealousy. "Vanessa's doing what's best for Mia," my father said. "You've always been difficult, Taylor." They cut me off, but I didn't care. Mia was my priority now. The courtroom clash. The custody battle was brutal. Greg, backed by my parents' money, hired a top-tier lawyer who painted me as an unstable artist with no parenting experience. Vanessa testified that she'd been selflessly caring for Mia, claiming I was driven by spite. My parents took the stand, saying I'd always been rebellious and unstable, twisting my PTSD into evidence of unfitness. I fought back with evidence: photos of Greg's apartment, CPS reports, texts from Vanessa telling Mia to stop whining. I called character witnesses: my gallery curator, who praised my integrity, my therapist, who testified to my recovery, and Lena's sister, who confirmed Lena would have wanted me to protect Mia. Most importantly, I had Mia's voice. In a closed session, she described Greg's rages and Vanessa's neglect, her voice trembling but clear. Her drawings, dark sketches of a house filled with yelling, broke my heart and swayed the judge. The turning point came when I uncovered Vanessa's theft. Using my lawyer's forensic accountant, I found bank records showing Vanessa had siphoned funds from Mia's trust for expenses. Her social media showed the necklace, a new wardrobe, and trips to Savannah, paid for with Mia's money. When I presented this in court, Vanessa's charm cracked. She stammered, claiming it was temporary borrowing, but the judge wasn't convinced. The trust battle was equally fierce. My lawyer proved Vanessa's mismanagement, and the court froze the trust, appointing me as temporary trustee. The judge granted me temporary custody, with a plan for permanent guardianship if Greg and Vanessa didn't meet CPS requirements. Mia moved into my midtown apartment, and for the first time, I saw her smile. A real, unguarded smile. Building a family. Life with Mia was a blessing. I turned my spare room into a space for her, with art supplies, a cozy bed, and fairy lights. She was wary at first, scared to trust, but we built a routine: school, therapy, art workshops. Mia loved painting, her canvases bursting with color. My anxiety and PTSD flared, panic attacks at night, fears of failing her. But Dr. Carter helped me stay grounded. I kept my job, running art therapy groups for kids in crisis. My colleagues became my support system, helping with Mia's school pickups when I was at exhibits. Vanessa and Greg faded from our lives. Greg failed his drug tests, and Vanessa lost interest in the parenting classes. My parents faced legal scrutiny for enabling Vanessa's theft, their reputation tarnished. They tried to guilt me into reconciling, but I set boundaries, refusing to let their toxicity back in. The path to healing. Over the years, Mia flourished. She won school art contests, her paintings reflecting hope and resilience. We built traditions: Friday pizza nights, Saturday hikes in Piedmont Park, holiday sculpting sessions where clay ended up everywhere. One day she called me Taylor, then paused and said, "You're my family." I hugged her tight, my heart full. My career soared. I opened a community art studio, offering free classes for foster kids, and won a national award for my work. I started a podcast about surviving parental rivalry, connecting with listeners who'd faced similar competitions. My chosen family, friends, colleagues, Mia's teachers, became my anchor. My parents softened, sending emails, but I kept my distance. Vanessa moved to Charleston chasing a new venture, and I let her go. A new light. At Mia's high school art show, I watched her present a mural of a blooming lotus, her voice strong and clear. She dedicated it to me, saying, "Taylor showed me how to create from chaos." I hugged her, tears in my eyes, knowing I'd given her the safety I'd never had. Vanessa's competition nearly broke me, but uncovering her lies saved Mia and set me free. I'm Taylor Ellis, artist, guardian, survivor, And I've built a family that loves without rivalry.